we're going to study MLA, and we're going to use a resource online called OWL at Purdue. If you were to just Google MLA and look for the results, the first entry is OWL at Purdue. I do want to go there, but I want you to search for MLA and OWL, O-W-L, because the results that it gives us point at two of the specific things I want us to research today. One is MLA Works Cited Electronic. I want you to create a new tab for that. So right click and say Open Link in New Tab. The next one is in-text citations, the basics. Again, make a new tab. You can look at either general format or MLA sampler. We're going to use the third one as MLA general format and also make that a new tab. While those tabs are being downloaded and fulfilled, let's take a look at this site. Now in looking at MLA, this is called the breadcrumbs. We can see we're at OWL, Research and Citation, MLA Style, Formatting and Style Guide. This is a list of the links that's available to study MLA. We're just looking at one of them now, that's electronic sources listed here. If you wanted to look at basics or books, periodicals like magazines or other electronic sources, you can look at the other entries here. But for now, because we're doing a very narrow focus on MLA, we're going to look at electronic sources. What I want you to do in class is study this. You don't have to read every word, but if you look through this section, the basic style for citation, these are the things that you should look for. And sometimes they're not available. So it says if there's no author, you have to use the next thing like the article name. This is kind of a list of things that you want to try to find. There's examples of how to cite web pages. Purdue asks or offers their own. But you want to match up this heading, page on a website. If that's one of the resources you have that this describes it or best describes it, use this as an example for a format to create your works cited entry. Here's one about images, an article in a web magazine, an article in an online scholarly journal, article. You should be able to find one of these that matches or is very similar to what you've used as a resource for your report. Choose that, find that pattern, and duplicate that pattern in your works cited page. I also wanted you to look at MLA in-text citations. The next thing that we're going to do is to actually start to write our paper, so we want to get a feel for what these sentences might look like. I described in the introduction to MLA that we often put at the end of the sentence a parenthesis that says where we got our information, and this is the classic example. I'll read the entry so you'll get an understanding of the differences in using in-text citation versus just purely parenthetical. In this case, romantic poetry is characterized by, quote, the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, end quote. And Wordsworth said it, and it's on page 263, and you can find the actual book it came from by going to your works cited and looking this up. Now you remember when I described quotes, you don't quote an entire sentence that makes your point, but rather you choose to quote an author when rewording it in any other way would diminish the meaning that you really want to portray, and that's when you use quotes. Otherwise, you just paraphrase. But in any case, if you use that information, you have to say where you got it. Now let's go back and look at an in-text citation. In this case, the author has written the source of the information. Wordsworth stated that romantic poetry was marked by a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, end quote. And he just puts the page number because the author or the resource is listed. And same for the last here, except this is paraphrased. So you'll see examples of different kinds of in-text citations and citations. Use this as a way to learn those patterns and begin to use those in your own report. The last thing I'll ask you to look at now is the general format. This describes the overall style. Again, this isn't intended for you to read and take notes on, but just get an overview. And I don't expect you to memorize the MLA research paper writing all of these parameters, but I do want you to know, what I do want you to know is where to find the answers. And this is one of the resources we will use, plus the MLA handbooks that are provided in the classroom. So I wish you well and begin writing.